your voice in Spain.
Hey, it's Carmine Apiece of the Rod Stewart Band and Ozzy and many other bands. And you're listening to Giles Brown on Talk Radio Europe.
GB, not GQ.
And the time is exactly 18 minutes past 4. The thing with radio is you can kind of dress how you want. I can do this. I mean, I won't there's a very good reason that we don't have a webcam in here these days, but the t-shirt and jeans tend to be the normal sort of modus operandi for radio presenters or, active wear or something like that. But today I am joined in the studio by perhaps the best dressed guest I have ever had in, Oscar Udeshi, a truly modern tailor who was set up recently in the south of Spain. Oscar, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Giles, and thank you for the compliment.
It's quite all right. For those of us that you can't see you, can I just say the waistcoat, this is radio, the waistcoat is particularly outstanding, and I believe it has a lining of cigar box interiors.
Vintage cigar boxes, so they're little kids on a cigar-shaped swing and other things, and very graphic images of the 1920s. Politically correct, of course.
Politically correct, absolutely. So tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into modern tailoring.
How I get into tailoring? People judge you, except on the radio. Even then, they judge you on your first impressions. So in your case, the sound of your voice. In the rest of the world, in what you look like. If you like it or not, there's just way too much information out there. So the way you dress, the way you present yourself, influences the way people look at you. And I wanted to get a certain job in finance, so I got myself a nice suit and dressed the part and got the job. The problem was I enjoyed having suits made and clothing in general more than the actual financial part and my actual job. Tells you I shouldn't have been doing that in the first place, but it did afford me the funds to go and indulge in my passion in clothing, and pretty soon it became my profession. I had at the age of 23, I had 50 suits.
50 suits?
Yes, 80 ties and more than 100 shirts. And in theory, I said to myself, if I was American, I'd probably need to go and see a shrink. But if I make it my profession, that can possibly explain that. I can probably add a few more. So that's how I kind of fell into it.
But I mean, the discipline of actually, going ahead, you don't just suddenly think, okay, I'm gonna ditch my high flying career, in the city. I mean, how long did it actually take you to go? I mean, did you just sort of rock up to the nearest Savile Row tailor and say, I want to start from the basic cuts up? I mean, how did it all pan out for you?
Kind of similar. Before I sold my soul and became a banker. Yes, some of them do have souls. I'm still waiting to meet them, but I've been told there are some. I wanted to spend a summer in Paris, and the French I have to be careful what I say here, are not necessarily known as the most opening and welcoming to us Brits. And so I figured if I went to Paris to study fashion, there'd be some girls in the class. I wouldn't need to speak French, and so I ended up in Paris. I'm losing my track.
You ended up in Paris, yeah.
Yes, so I went to Paris. So I studied fashion history and costume illustration. So I knew a little bit. And I found one of the last remaining German street shirt makers who took me under his wing and said, well, what do you know? Assume I know nothing.
Right.
That's probably correct. I go, yeah. So, and I was vaguely intelligent enough and differential enough and enthusiastic enough that he did teach me a few things, and I kind of went from there. Shirts are much, much easier to do. It's more of a flat pattern than a suit, but you got to start somewhere. So I started off with shirts and then all the other accessories and worked my way up to the point where I can do everything, but I know somebody who can do each and every single part better. There's nobody who flies a plane, a 747, who serves a drink, does the maintenance, runs the company, and fuels the jet. There's nobody who can do all of that. The manager or the CEO should know roughly how to do it or who the expert is. So I'm kind of that person. I can make a suit by myself. It's not the prettiest thing, but I have experts who help me in every field. So I have one chap who's been cutting for me. He's been cutting for 45 years. I'm 47. I'm never going to have that 45 years of experience. Mm-hmm. I have somebody who makes buttonholes. That's all they do all day long.
Just the buttonholes?
Just buttonholes by hand. I would shoot myself. Five are difficult enough, but that's all they do all day is just buttonholes.
So how long does the process take? Because I know you're going to say every client is an individual, but how long do you? How well? I've been up to, where you are. I've seen the rather fabulous teas and the wines and the fine cigars. How much time do you take with the actual client when you're looking for that particular look?
I have some clients who go, I want a shirt that fits me properly. Do you have one? Yes. Okay. I'd like this in 10 colors. Okay, I'll make you one first. And you want me to change anything? Nope. So I literally take that shirt and replicate it and make one first to make sure they're happy, and then as many as they want. So that's the easiest one. That takes, I want exactly this, which will take 10 seconds, to somebody going, I used to be a banker, or I used to be in finance, or I used to be in London or Kuala Lumpur or where have you. I've moved here and I just don't wear suits, but I don't want to wear my shorts and T-shirts and Birkenstocks or whatever it is. I don't want to go that casual. I want something that will help me, fit in here, but I look a little smarter. Mm-hmm. Or when my favorite is when people have a midlife crisis or on their second or third divorce. That's again a time when people change their outfit. That can be a little bit more involved. Okay, well, where do you live? Are you cold? Some people always run hot, so there's no point giving them an overcoat because I'll just boil. Other people are permanently cold. Other people like something smooth and soft against the skin. Other people don't like things that crease. So each person is different. So that then can take anywhere from half an hour to how long's a piece of string.
Yeah.
It partly depends what you're after. And if you know what you'd like, it's usually quite quick. If you don't, literally the world is your oyster.
You've been doing this for a while. Have you seen that men in particular have been becoming much more aware of what they're wearing? And you can do the pinstripe if asked, but are your sort of clients perhaps a little more daring? I'm not saying go the full sort of Joker purple suit routine, but do people want, if you like, a classic suit but with a little bit of individuality stitched in there somewhere?
We actually had a client who ordered a purple 3-piece velvet suit. I'm like, okay. His wife was one of the first models of Vivienne Westwood, so it was a little bit more of an eccentric pair. Well, in the old days, it used to be a navy, a grey suit, possibly a chalk stripe. We have some clients who literally have 5 identical navy suits. And we actually put numbers in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but they are exactly the same suit.
So they know which day.
And we have numbers because if there's a bank holiday, that screws up the system.
Right.
So that's why we put numbers. But, we've also done days before. Otherwise, so basically it was your uniform, which was a navy or grey suit, and you had your white or blue shirts. In England, you had your multi-stripe shirts, and your ties were actually quite conservative because it'd be either your club tie or regimental tie. So there's whole history and, if you want, rules behind it. And then sometime in the 70s and 80s, people had Hermes silk scarf linings from their wives or girlfriends or mistresses and put them in the jackets. So that changed. And they had in England, you had brighter, solid colored linings. And then about 10 years ago, people started discovering prints. And so we've got one client who's a racing car driver, so he's got racing cars inside his. We've got another client who owns a vineyard, so he's got wine bottles inside.
And so the lining of your suit can take an awful. Do people do you find people as you're spending time? You said you wanted. It was. I guess I can see that he asked to show me the lining of his suit. But do you find that you said before you didn't want to do therapy? You spend time with people, perhaps you learn a little bit about them as well.
It's amazing what you can learn from somebody, irrespective of what you do, if you just listen. And sometimes, not trying to be a psychologist, sometimes you kind of have to be one. It's what they don't say that tells you about them, or how they carry themselves, or all the things they don't do or don't say. So it is kind of like a shrink, a little bit like a bartender of sorts. And I had some clients when I had my store in London who literally come every day for a cup of coffee and for a chat. I felt like a bartender of sorts, or a hairdresser, which was nice, and they came. But you do build a rapport with some people. I've been invited to weddings, christenings. Thankfully, people don't have divorce parties. I've had 3 clients who've named their sons, not necessarily after me, but they're called Oscar.
Right.
I don't know what part I played in that part, in their naming process, but so yeah, it is. You do get to know people.
And here we are on the Mediterranean. I mean, normally it's a beautiful blue sky and a glistening sea. I mean, do you sort of see the people wanting to mix perhaps the more straight classic lines of British tailoring with the materials and the style of the Mediterraneans, like the Italian style?
Yes. Well, people are wearing less formal. Well, people are wearing less formal clothes, full stop. And then they tend to wear less stiff clothing. So much softer linings, no shoulder pads. So it's a much softer garment. So what you have from today versus something from the 1930s would be akin to a horse-drawn carriage and a Porsche Cayenne.
Indeed.
Sorry, Porsche Macan GTS.
Porsche Macan, exactly.
It's that much of a difference. And where we are here, we have the sun. You can wear a bright blue or even an orange jacket, and you won't look necessarily that out of place. Whereas if you do that in, sake of argument, the UK, where we don't really have as much sun as we have here in Spain, thankfully, it can jump out a little bit.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
So here we have lighter fabrics, lighter colors, different textures, more open weave things. So more appropriate for the weather here. If you were dressed like you would be here on the beach, and you went back to London, you'd freeze your bum off.
What do you see? What do you think of saying the word bum? What do you see? What are you seeing more? Because I was watching a couple of bits and pieces over the weekend. But double-breasted, single-breasted. What's coming? Is there a fashion going back for double-breasted at the moment? Are we still single-breasted and harking back to the 60s, or is there a sort of 70s or shudder even an 80s revival coming along?
Hopefully not an 80s one. Thankfully that's come and gone. Well, let's hope there's a revival of jackets. Jackets are, I feel, coming back. But in a new way. So you're not going to wear a 3-piece suit with a shirt, with a tie. Instead, if you look at the catwalk shows, don't use that necessarily as a reference what real people wear. But it'll be more knitwear. So it'll be T-shirts, polo shirts, turtlenecks, anything but your classic shirt with double cuffs. That's kind of gone. With a single-breasted jacket, which a blazer or something, or deconstructed. For me, a double-breasted jacket, if you don't wear it closed and don't wear it with a tie, it just flaps around and is annoying and looks a little... Can I say the word naff?
Yes, say naff, that's okay.
Yeah, it looks a little naff. And quite honestly, it's just too warm here. And we had 23 degrees on Monday. So double-breasted, I have one. I can't remember the last time I wore one in Marbella. Single-breasted jackets, like I'm wearing one today, yeah, fine, I can wear it open, absolutely fine, don't need to necessarily wear a tie with it. Whereas a double-breasted is just that little bit more formal. I don't think that's coming back anytime soon.
And also accessories, because you do... there is a fabulous line from cigar holder, from the cigar wallets, for example, the cigar holders through to the cufflinks to, accessories really are a way of putting your own bespoke style on, aren't they?
Yes, but we also have, for example, in terms of, we don't just do the traditional suit. I'd definitely be out of business if I was doing that here. But we do the blazers. Yeah. But we also do shirts made of T-shirt fabric, so a knit shirt. So it's very comfortable, it's very soft. We do print trousers and print shorts, so something to go to the beach, or you're going to a beach club or have a barbecue party, when we are allowed to have those again, COVID restrictions hopefully being lifted this summer. So we do fun accessories, slightly different things like that. You don't... Something that also is a reflection of your personality, something that's alive, and also the way you dress also influences your mood. And quite honestly, I don't quite know where else I'd rather live. That's why I moved here, and I'm happier here than I am looking outside a raining window when it's 5 degrees outside.
I mean, all things being equal, we should be enjoying the summer or summer weather in a few months. What is Oscar's? What's the Udeshi take on the beach? I mean, you don't do an Udeshi range of speedos, for example, but you do beach wear, don't you?
We have a toweling jacket.
That's the one.
Yeah, a toweling jacket. As we were just talking about Costa de Luz before we went on the air, where it's slightly slightly windier or it's not that warm yet, so we have a toweling jacket based on something I saw in, similar, inspired by Sean Connery's baby blue toweling romper suit in Goldfinger. Amazing where people get inspiration from. And my thought was, you come out of the water, it's cold, it's windy, you put this jacket on, you've got your sunglasses, you've got your keys, whatever you need. If you smoke, you've got your cigarettes inside there. Can we say that, smoke?
You can say smoke, yeah.
Thank you. And then you can go walk up straight to the bar, and you've got your credit card or whatever it is, and you can order. In the old days, you had to actually wear a jacket to go up to a Chiringuito or to a bar, and they wouldn't serve you in swimming trunks. There are a few places. Well, I think probably in the Marbella Club, they'd also want you to wear something on top.
Yeah, I would imagine so. I'll check with John Thompson. He'll probably put me right. So, what are the staples then that every gentleman should have in his wardrobe? Do you think in 2022?
Depends where. If we're here.
If we're here.
If we're here. Navy blazer, can't go wrong with that. White and blue shirts, as we are in the south of Spain, I mean, one of the most beautiful places in the world, and people don't tend to do that much serious work here. White trousers, because they go with white is not a color, so it'll go with every single shirt. Some leather loafers, you will go sockless for that Mediterranean look. Mm-hmm. Some nice plain pairs of shorts, whites, navies. Yes, that's rather conservative, but you can then have some fun things with it. So you can have a red shirt or a print shirt, not necessarily a Hawaiian shirt like Magnum PI, but if it catches your fancy, why not? And you have that basic foundation where you can then add fun things to it. You'll always look smart, you'll always look well dressed, and you'll be able to get into any single place.
And just explain, because when I met it for the first time, we had this conversation about bespoke, it was bespoke, ready to wear, and off the rail, wasn't it? And I was getting confused between all three, and I'm still getting confused today, Oscar.
Off the peg is literally off a peg, or off the rack is literally off a rack of clothes. So you go into a shop, you buy something, yep, I'll take that, thank you very much. Made to order is like, I'll have exactly that, but in blue. So if you buy your car and they've got 10 cars, I want it in my own color. That's made to order. It's made for you. Nothing's really changed except for the color. Made to measure is based on your measurements. So I want that, but I want it longer, shorter. I've got bigger shoulders. So you're adjusting existing parts of the pattern. So, sake of argument, in a car, you take the car, cut in half, and you'll make it longer. Whereas bespoke, you start with a complete clean white sheet of paper and just literally build up your measurements, so you can have whatever you wanted. So, if you had 3 arms, bespoke would be able to accompany that.
Yeah, 3-arm jacket. Just going to say, what's been the most creative? Would you say for a client for what that you've done at Udeshi?
The most creative?
Yes, I mean the one that made you think, okay, that's been a challenge, but I'm glad we pulled that one off. Do you think?
I had
and jeans, for example. And jeans are one as well, aren't they? Because didn't you tell me that jeans are quite difficult to get correct? Or
jeans are quite difficult to get correct because it's unstable. It's quite fickle. It always changes its mind. It's not a stable fabric. So if you've got 3 pairs of jeans, you cut them from the same cloth at the same time, on the same sewing machine, made by the same person at the same time. If you could make 3 jeans at the same time, they would fit completely different. So our secret is we pre-wash the fabric in an industrial washing machine, get all the shrinkage out, then we cut and make it so there are no surprises. I like wearing jeans, but I hate shopping for them because I have to try on 10 pairs to actually find one that fits. And then when I found that pair that fits, I go back to the shop, a year later, go, hey, I'd like the same pair of jeans. Sorry, we've changed the fit, sold out, changed the color. Tough. You have to start all over again. Annoying. The most difficult things, we had one client who wanted a pocket on his sleeve for his Camel soft pack cigarettes. He was an architect, so it had to be on his sleeve. It couldn't be on his chest because he would hold and press against stuff and carry things. So we had to lift up his arm like the duck dance, and tap, and literally a cigarette would come out just to try and get that right.
That was a pocket for his cigarettes in his shirt.
Yeah, we had another American client who's a member of the NRA, National Rifle Association. Right. We had to make a shirt with pockets for his
cartridges?
Yes. We had another client who wanted to be always prepared, so we made a pair of 40 pairs of boxer shorts with a secret pocket on the inside.
For his other cartridges?
No, for his another thing with a letter C, for his condoms. I've heard of being prepared. I thought that was a little bit.
That's being super prepared. And finally, the fashion faux pas. What's the great no-no? Would you say? Are we talking socks with sandals? Are we talking those comedy when you've got a dinner, when you've got an evening shirt and you take it off and somebody's got Tintin on the side? What's the thing that really makes you shudder if you see it?
Oh, there's so many. Socks with sandals is definitely up there. Long jackets with shorts is definitely up there. Somebody wearing a shirt and formal shirt with cufflinks and a tie and a pair of jeans. I'm like, so I mean, if you're on television, fine, and you don't see the top half, but are you going to go and build a shed, or are you going to go to the office, or do you do both? Things like that really annoy me. Or if you wear a belt and braces, which is a sign that you don't have confidence in anything. Why do you need both? No, things like that, or like a sports watch and you're wearing a three-piece suit. It's like, are you going running, or there are loads of these.
There's lots more. If people want to check out what you do, I know there's a website. I know you're very active on social media as well. Where can they find you, Oscar?
I'm based about 10 minutes north of Marbella, but the first time we are near the Refugio de Juana, where we have a little showroom. We've got about 30 square meters. As a showroom where you can see all the different styles we do and the different cloths. We probably have about 2,000-3,000 cloths, fabrics, beg your pardon, to choose from. And after that, once we've got your pattern right, we can then see you wherever on the coast. So we have clients in Soto Grande, we have clients in Malaga, we have some in Sevilla. So once we've had that first meeting, and quite honestly, it's men, we're not going to get taller. We might get wider. Some people did get wider during Corona. Some actually lost weight because they suddenly had time in their hands and went running. But generally your pattern doesn't change that much, so we then see people wherever they are. And we've also have some clients we haven't seen in 5 years. They just go, same again, same again, same again. I've actually pinned it down. Some of our clients are, how should we say, that predictable, where usually around this week I have one client who orders 5 pairs of navy trousers every year. And I email him, yep, oh, I forgot. Yeah, 1 day late. Yeah, okay, fine. 5 again. Yep, 5 again. And he lives in Saudi Arabia. We haven't seen him in 5 years. But as long as the last pair still fits. So it's also that convenience that we offer. So you don't need to go shopping again.
Yeah. Absolutely. If people want to check you out, they can find Udeshi as well, can't they? Online as well. I think I'm going to follow you on the Instagram because there's always good stuff in there. I particularly like the accessories because gifts as well. You do that whole sort of, and it was always a difficult one on the run up to Christmas or any festive season. But if there are ladies out there wanting to buy something for the man in their life with Valentine's coming up.
Oh, well, aside from cufflinks, you can also buy something for the man in your life for yourself. By excuse of, we also have Scottish cashmere blankets. Yes, it does get colder here. I am surprised at how cold it is here sometimes. So you can always buy it for him and literally gift it to yourself. We also
Scottish cashmere, I like the sound of that.
Yeah. We also have leather accessories, wallets. I don't think anyone's going to wear a tie here. We also have bags, which you can use for the beach, which also double for as the travel bags for the IATA or even the Ryanair standard. So we've designed it so it fits exactly in that annoying little metal frame.
So you're not having to crush and push and
no. So it's got to be multi-purpose, and that way your bag works for the beach and works for that little, I was going to use the word, is some expletive which I will refrain from. That metal cage.
Done so well, Oscar, they're getting this far as well.
That metal cage, we also do that. What else? Well, scarves, less relevant here. Gloves, when clients go back to the UK or Scandinavia or wherever they are. So we've got not everything, but we've got a few interesting things.
You've kind of got you covered. If you want to check out more, go to Udeshi. That's Udeshi, udeshi.co.uk. I've been speaking to Oscar Udeshi. Oscar, it's been a real pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you very much for having me, Giles.
TRE.